Distinguished Senator Mustapha Saliu. Distinguished Senator Sirake Dixon. Distinguished Senator Saliu Mustapha. Distinguished Senator Sirake Dixon. The Senate is waiting for you.
Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate. Yes.
My name is Abamuro, and I want to come under Order 10 on a matter of privileges. And if Mr. President will allow it, I will read. Mr. President, if you allow my point of order, Order 9B and Order 10, I will read. Mr. President, on the 9B is whenever a matter of privileges arise, it shall be taken up immediately. And on the 10, any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising, and shall be prepared to move without notice a motion declaring that the content of breach of the privilege has been committed, or referring the matter to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. But if the matter is raised in the Committee of the Whole, the chairman shall leave the chair to report progress. Mr. President, As a presiding officer, this is a motion under Order 41. And upon consideration of that motion, the Senate resolved that the matter of a motion on the urgent need for the rehabilitation of the Onyangede-Ogobia Road in Ohimini local government area of Benue State off Otukpo-Oweto Highway be slated for the next legislative day. Today, Mr. President, is the next legislative day. And unfortunately, that motion is not listed on the order paper in line with the resolution of the Senate. And so I'm craving the indulgence of Mr. President and my colleagues to be allowed a very short motion to raise the motion today in line with the resolution of the Senate, if I am permitted. I so present, Mr. President.
Yeah, it's a good idea, so let them go and rework on the order paper while we are here, so that they will include it as directed by the Senate. It will be done. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues,
we have suspended a lot of items, such as, come.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of the Leader of the Senate on the 2025 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2026 SB 1027. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, 2025 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2026 SB 1027, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, 2025 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2026 SB 1027, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in the name of the Leader of the Senate on the Standards Organization of Nigeria Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2026, HB 481. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Standard Organization of
Bill 2026 HB 481. First reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that we step down what is listed as the first order of the day, which is a motion standing in my name on the amendment of the standing orders of the Senate. Mr. President, in view of the more urgent issues of national importance that we have today, I will move that we step this down for another legislative day so that we can reorder the order paper and take the second order of the day as the first order of the day. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the motion by the Leader of the Senate for the amendment of our rules be stepped down, and that the second order of the day becomes the first order of the day, and further rearrange our procedures for today to enable us to complete the very important matters of national interest. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, motion moved and seconded that the issues of amendment of our standing rule be stepped down. Those who support say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. That is hereby stood down. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the second reading of a bill standing in the name of the Leader of the Senate on the 2025 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill 2026, SB 1027. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, I would like to move that the Senate do now suspend its Rule 78(1) in order to be able to read this bill for a second time. I so move.
Mr. President,
colleagues, motion move and seconded. Those who support us aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let's proceed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, we'll be able to deal with the very important matters we have on the other paper for the day. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the Senate cease.
Distinguished colleagues, motion move and seconded. Those in support say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. That I am hereby extended. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, proceeding on the first order of the day, I rise to remove Mr. President, that the bill for an act to amend the 2025 Appropriation Act to further extend the capital component of the act from the 31st day of March 2025 to the 30th day of June 2026, and for other related matters 2026, SB 1027 will be now read for the second time. And in support of that motion, Mr. President, I present the lead debate. Mr. President and good colleagues, I rise to lead the debate on this very important bill, which seeks to amend the Appropriation Act 2025 by extending the implementation period of the capital component from 31st March 2026 to 30th June 2026. Mr. President, this bill was read for the first time today, Tuesday, 31st March 2026. This amendment is both compelling and pragmatic. As we are all aware, the execution of capital projects under the 2025 Appropriation Act has not reached optimal levels, despite the release of approximately 30% of allocated funds to ministries, departments, and agencies. This situation, if not urgently addressed, risks exacerbating the already troubling incidents of abandoned or partially executed projects across the country. It is instructive to note that a significant proportion of these projects have ongoing relevance, while only about 70% have been provided for under the 2026 appropriation framework. Without this extension, Mr. President, several critical national infrastructure and development initiatives may suffer avoidable discontinuity. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is therefore designed to ensure continuity, enhance budget performance, and promote efficient utilization of already released funds. It is also aimed at strengthening fiscal discipline and safeguarding public resources from waste. Furthermore, this extension will contribute meaningfully to economic reflation by sustaining capital expenditure flows, preserving jobs, and supporting ongoing development efforts across projects in the overriding public interest. In view of the foregoing, I urge you all to give this bill expeditious and favorable consideration. Mr. President, I so move that this bill be read the second time and subsequently committed to the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. Thank you.
Deputy Senate President.
Your Excellency, it is a known fact to all and sundry that the present administration, led by Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is determined to bring about enhanced and quick infrastructural development to our nation. It's in tandem with the Renewed Hope agenda of Mr. President to bring about prosperity to our nation. And this cannot be done without building the critical infrastructure needed to bring about his vision to fruition. And it is this regard that is very, very important that time should be given so that the projects that have been started, that are ongoing, be concluded. Otherwise, we'll go into the problem of abandoned projects, which is inimical to our progress, inimical to desire, Mr. President, to bring development to our nation, Mr. President. So this bill is desirable. It's very, very necessary. It's known to all that if we don't do this, it will create a problem to the desire of Mr. President to bring about the infrastructure development of people and get it passed. Because we know the importance. It's not all of us. Mr. President, I say submit.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, is there anybody who is opposed to this extension? Any person opposed to this extension? Then let me put the question. Those who support that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the 2025 Appropriation Act to further extend the capital components of the Act from the 31st March 2025 to 30th June 2026 and for other related matters 2026 SB 1027, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the 2025 Appropriation Act to further extend the capital components of the Act from the 31st day of March 2025 to 30th June 2026 and for other related matters 2026, second reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate do now resolve to a committee of supply for further consideration of this bill. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to call the motion as moved by Senate Leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, motion moved and seconded that will be referred to committee of supply for further consideration. The Senate in the Committee of Supply. What is the clerk? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of Supply considers the bill for an act to amend the 2025 Appropriation Act to further extend the capital components of the bill of the Act from 31st day of March 2025 to 30th day of June. Those who support that the amendment of Section 12 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those who support the recitation clause form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Interpretation clause. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The long title of page 1. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate do now revert to plenary to enable the chairman report
For chair to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, motion moved and seconded that we refer to plenary for the chair to report progress. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We refer to plenary for the chair to report progress. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of Supply considered a bill for an act to amend the 2025 Appropriation Act to further extend the capital aspects of the Appropriation Act from 31st day of March 2025 to 30th day of June 2026 and for other related matters thereto, and approve as follows. Amendment of the 2025 Appropriation Act as recommended. Short title as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Number of clauses as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of Supply? Leader of the Senate. You may wish to move that the bill be now read a third time.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate do suspend its Rule 78 sub 1 in order for this bill to be read the third time. I so move.
Yes, swing colleague.
Mr. President, I hereby second the motion as ably
Read a third time. Those in support of the motion and move and second, they say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend 2025 Appropriation Act to further extend the capital components of the Act from the 31st March 2025 to 30th June 2026 and for other related matters 2026 SB 1027, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the 2025 Appropriation Act to further extend the capital components of the Act from 31st day of March 2025, from 31st day of March 2026 to 30th day of June 2026, and for other related matters 2026. So, distinguished colleagues, the bill for an act to amend the 2025 Appropriation Act by extending its tenure from 31st day of March to 30th day of June 2026 has passed the third reading. And I want to thank all distinguished senators for their patriotism and contributions that enabled this to take place. This is to give a latitude to the executive to ensure that proper implementation of the capital components of the 2025 budget is carried out. So I congratulate the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream on the confirmation of nominations.
I thought we were going into the, what was the second issue?
Well, Mr. President, except we want to further reorder.
Please, let's conclude with the loan, all the monetary things. Let's receive the report first.
Okay. In that wise, Mr. President, may I apply that we take what is listed as the third order now as the second order on our order paper, and that will be my motion.
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. President, I second the motion that we reorder and take 3 instead of 2. I so second.
Motion move and seconded. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the reports of the Committee on Local and Foreign Debt for approval of projects, Lagos rehabilitation of the ports project in the Lagos Port Complex and Tinkan Island Port Complex, Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite His Excellency, Most Distinguished Senator Wamako Magatakada Aliyu, the chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the reports of the committee.
This is Senator Wamako.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Foreign and Local Debts for the approval of Poem Program to support parallel funding and physical liquidity and rehabilitate port project in Lake Complex and also Tension Island Complex. I so move, Mr. President.
This is Senator Nwebwe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remind Senator Peter Onyekachi Nwebon. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Chairman, Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, motion moved and seconded. Those in support that the report be laid for immediate consideration, say aye.
Yes, Mr. President.
Just summarize. Distinguished colleague, because of time constraint, you may just summarize.
Okay, Mr. President, I think the report is about the two requests by Mr. President on two separate facilities. The $1 billion facility, and I don't feel that need to go again over what you have said about this language of the referral and the request they are containing. Except that you are in interaction with the Ministry of Finance, that's a call yesterday. We agreed that 40% of this $5 billion loan must be, or needs to be, earmarked for capital project in 2020. That's all it is. Otherwise, I will just thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve, and we hereby request that this report be approved. Mr. Thank you.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I am throwing my full weight behind the passage of this request or bill against the background of the fact that there is specific request to dedicate 40% of the loan for the implementation of the capital component of the budget. And as we all know, it is the capital component of the budget, that touches on the implementation of what is contained in the Renew Hope agenda, and is something that brings dividends of democracy to the doorsteps of our people. Against this background, I urge my colleagues to pass this request with the speed of light and without much ado.
Distinguished Senator Wamako, are we considering the two reports at the same time?
Yes, I mentioned the two.
The two.
Yes. Yes, I mentioned the two reports. They are both submitted. They are both submitted.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Any other contribution? No. So please, let's go straight into the recommendations. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the establishment of a structured total return swap TRS external financing program of up to USD 5 billion with First Abu Dhabi Bank? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the indicative terms and conditions, including pricing based on SOFR plus applicable margins, 6-year tenor with rollover provisions, collateralization with Naira-denominated FGN securities, and 2, or D, margining obligations in USD. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate authorize the federal government of Nigeria to draw down the facility in tranches, issue FGN securities as collateral, and make payments in USD for margin calls as required? Those in support of 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 4, the mandate enhanced oversight, including quarterly reporting by the Federal Ministry of Finance and the DMO on drawdowns, utilization of funds, margining obligations, submission of detailed transaction documents to the National Assembly. Those in support of this recommendation say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. 5, encourage prudent fiscal management, strengthening the revenue generation, prioritizing high-impact infrastructure investments, and ensuring transparency. Thank the chairman and now the committee for a job well done expeditiously. Even though the thing was read today and our rules allow by Rule 39, but they have done a fantastic job, and I'm very impressed. And I must commend them for this report, which has been sent to us, and congratulate all senators, and pray that this $5 billion so approved by the Nigerian Senate today will assist this administration to meet its capital obligations and then take Nigeria out of the current financial doldrums. I thank all of you. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate now approve the UK EF covered loan facility arranged by Citibank NA London branch and other financial institutions in the sum of USD 1 billion 945,000 6 Island Port Complex. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the financing terms and structures as presented herein, including EPC plus F implementation model, UK EF backed credit enhancement, tenor of up to 14 years, applicable fees and premium? Those in support of recommendation 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3, mandate strict oversight and accountability, including quarterly reporting by the Federal Ministry of Finance, DMO, and the Nigerian Port Authority on project implementation and fund utilization, the submission of executed financing agreements to the National Assembly within 30 days of financial close, and then monitoring by relevant committees to ensure compliance with approved terms and timelines. Those in support of recommendation 3 say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 4, ensure transparency and value for money, including competitive procurement processes, independent technical and financial audits, periodic evaluation of project milestones. Those in support of this recommendation say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me once again thank the chairman of the Committee on Local and Foreign Debts and all the members for the speedy work in which they have done. I look through and I can see that almost all the committee members appended their signatures, which means that together they did a fantastic chicken port and their papa ports, rehabilitate, restructure, and reconstruct to make Nigeria a better destination for shippers. So most goods will stop going to other ports, including Cotonou, so thereby creating a lot of jobs for Nigerians and also enhancing the Nigerian economy. So I thank the distinguished senators, I thank the committee members, and I thank all of us for our patriotic zeal in the speedy approval of these loans for Mr. President. Congratulations to all. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President, and very distinguished colleagues. The third order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Appropriations on the 2026 Appropriation Bill 2026 SB 987. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Tuesday, 23rd December 2025. And in addition to this bill referred in December 2025, an additional correspondence was also received and was read on the floor. An additional correspondence was also read on the floor of the Senate today, which I had earlier moved that consistent with Order 39(2) of the bill. Mr. President, at this point, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Olamilekan Adeola Solomon, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Olamilekan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Adeola Solomon Olamilekan, representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, may I move that this distinguished Senate do receive the report of the Joint Committee on Appropriation on the 2024 Appropriation Bill, SB 987. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Amos Johanna.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Amos Johanna Adamawa North, I rise to second the motion that the Chairman Appropriations do submit his report. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, motion moved and seconded that the 2026 appropriation be laid before the Senate for further consideration, and duly seconded. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished Senator Olamilekan, you may move forward and submit your report. Senator DSP, you may wish to approach the chair. You may put a little meat on your submission. It took you over how many months to conclude this? So go ahead and then give us the synopsis and, of course, your recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, distinguished colleagues, Adeola Solomon Olamilekan, representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, it is my pleasure and privilege to present the report of the Joint Committee on Appropriation
on the 2026 appropriation bill. Distinguished colleague, you may wish to recall that on Wednesday, the 19th December 2025, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, laid before the joint sitting of the National Assembly the 2026 appropriation bill in accordance with the legislative powers and control of public funds as enshrined in Section 80, subsection 2, budget themed the budget of consolidation, renew resilience, and share prosperity. Reflect the executive determination to lock in the macroeconomic stability, deepening competitiveness, and ensure that the growth translates into a decent job, rising income, and a better quality of life across the Federation. The bill as presented contains an estimated revenue and expenditure of the federal government for 4 trillion 97 billion 381 million 103,856 only is for statutory transfer, while the sum of 15 trillion 909 billion 361,631 naira 657 only for debt services, and the sum of 15 trillion 251 billion 538 million 827 naira 425 only is for recurring non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 23 trillion 214 billion 347 million 381 naira 824 for capital expenditure for year ending 31st day of December 2026. 2.0 is for the objective of the bill. Fundamentally, the 2026 appropriation bill seeks to consolidate the macroeconomic indices stability, improve business and investment environment, promote job-rich growth, and reduce the poverty rate, with a view to strengthening human capital while protecting the vulnerable stakeholders. 3.3 is the legislative action. And basically, at this point, the committee swing into action in compliance with Order 91 and 4A of the Senate Standing Order 2023 as amended, where the committee referred the relevant schedule of the bill to a sum. At the conclusion of that, the committee chairman submitted all their reports to the committee on appropriation. 3.0, the proposed adjustment to the 2026 appropriation bill and the associated financing plan. During the consideration of the bill by the Joint Committee on Appropriation, a communication was received from Mr. President proposing adjustments to the 2026 budget. The proposed adjustments were intended to regularize the outstanding legacy capital commitment carried over from the previous appropriation cycle, thereby ensuring that the 2026 fiscal program is not unduly burdened by the unresolved obligation from earlier years. The proposal also sought to accommodate a limited number of strategic interventions in the area of transport, health, and institutional preparedness considered critical to national development and governance continuity, while aligning the financing framework on the 2026 budget with the revised expenditure profile in a manner that preserves the macro-fiscal stability. The proposed adjustment to the bill are as follows. 1. The regulation of the outstanding capital obligation. The inclusion within the 2026 appropriation bill of the outstanding unfunded capital obligation amounting to 5.71 trillion arising from the 2025 Appropriation Repeal and Enactment Act, as well as the 2 trillion capital for priority projects across the multiple sector and location nationwide, which were omitted in the rollover for the 2026 appropriation bill. These measures become necessary for strategic national intervention, which include the federal government equity contribution of 478.60 billion under the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Murphy framework for the Presidential Legacy Light Rail project in Lagos, Kaduna, Kano, and Ogun State,
while including the feasibility study for Enugu and Maiduguri Urban Light Rail Project, as well as the narrow gauge rail project network. B, the provision of 8.96 billion for detailed feasibility study for the Calabar-Maiduguri corridor traversing the North Central Zone and the Maiduguri-Sokoto Super Highway under the Tinubu National Beltway Initiative. C, an additional $344.83 million, equivalent to approximately $482.76 billion for priority health sector intervention tied to the existing bilateral understanding and implementation commitment. Follow with that is the 98.50 for Court of Appeal, 268.5 billion for the reinstatement of the judiciary budget ceiling, as well as additional provision to accommodate the prospective appointments for more justices of the Court of Appeal and Justice. Highlight of that is attached. The source of funding: an increase in the oil benchmark by $10, which will generate an additional revenue of 2.592 trillion. 2. The recent tariff adjustment measured in the telecommunication industry alongside a broader policy intervention under the current administration have begun to correct the structural imbalances environment, has stimulated the renewed investors' confidence and evidenced by the capital inflows and investment commitment exceeding $2 billion. From a fiscal perspective, the telecommunication sector is therefore transitioning from a position of constrained tax yield and underinvestment to one characterized by renewed growth, improved service delivery, and increasing contribution to the non-oil revenues. Accordingly, the projected revenue contribution to support the 2026 appropriation bill is estimated as follows. The MTN Nigeria is estimated to pay a company income tax of 724 billion and the Airtel Nigeria estimated CIT 2026 at 150 billion, thereby generating an additional revenue of 874 billion naira. An increase in the external borrowing by 6.16 trillion naira. All this combined together partly was used to reduce the debt burden from the revenue from the telecommunication, while the combination of the $10 increment and that of the external borrowing was used to fund the additional 9 trillion request made by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Having considered the proposed adjustment of Mr. President on the 2026 budget, the highlight of the new 2026 budget estimate are as follows. 1. Aggregate expenditure 68 trillion 323 billion 309 million 818,000 911,806 naira. Recurrent expenditure 15 trillion 427 billion 257 million 802,407 naira. Capital expenditure 32 trillion 287 billion 61 million 472,707 naira. Debt servicing 15 trillion 809 billion 361 million 361 million 631,657. Observation. The committee observed as follows. 1. That Mr. President in his initial budget proposal reflects an increase of about 1.7 trillion in the allocation of Ministry of Works to cater for ongoing and new road infrastructure projects across the 6 geopolitical zones. 2. That the 70% capital expenditure were rolled over to 2026 as a result of doing 6 budget estimate will enable the full implementation of outstanding obligation under the 2025 capital budget during the 2026 fiscal year. 4. Fundamentally, many critics is comparatively higher than the previous Appropriation Act, reflecting the federal government determination to prioritize important sectors such as security, health, education, infrastructural development, and welfare of the electorate. Recommendation. Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, after due consideration of the detailed provision of the bill and having worked in harmony with the House of Representatives, Committee on Appropriation on the proposed adjustment, the committee do hereby recommend that the Senate do consider and approve a bill for an act to authorize the issuance from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation totaling the sum of 68,323,309,818,667 and 667 only, of which 4,729,628,911,806 only is for statutory transfer, while the sum of 15,809,361,631,657 naira is for the debt, only is for debt services, while the sum of 15,802,407 is for recurrent 97. 797 is for the capital expenditure for the year ending 31st day of December 2026, while accompanying schedules and details. The bureaucratic bottleneck that led to the challenges of late releases of Fund of 2025 should be addressed holistically to achieve the theme of 2026 Appropriation Bill from budget to impact. 3. Deliberate effort must be made in 2026 by the Senate in collaboration with the Executive to implement the 2026 Appropriation Bill holistically. 4. That the 2026 implementation should be monitored by various committees with purpose to manage and guide capital project implementation while discipline and pursue infrastructural growth that is broad-based with a sustainable legislation. 5. That the appropriation, repeal and enactment Act 2025 be extended to 30th June 2026. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I want to, on behalf of the committee, we wish to thank the President of the Senate and the leadership for their support to the committee. We also wish to thank the Appropriation Subcommittee for their cooperation in making the budget process a robust and very effective. And this has contributed significantly to making this report a success. Lastly, we thank the distinguished committee members and staff of the committee who work tirelessly to ensure success.
This is indeed a top-notch report, well packaged and well put together and direct to the points, very, very elaborate and well articulated. And I therefore yield the floor to the Chief Whip to bear his mind, even though everything is open for everyone to see. Very, very clear report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, Mr. President, distinguished senators. My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I want to contribute on a very happy note. Happy note in the sense that there has been a very false narrative that has been going round that the northeastern part of the country is being deliberately marginalized or relegated to the background. But based on these proposed adjustments that is brought by Mr. President, we have the Maiduguri-Sokoto Highway, which is going to traverse across the the north-central part of the country up to Maiduguri, thereby opening off economic activities, generating multiplier effect and what have you. Again, we have the Calabar-Maiduguri rail project, which has been in the front burner for long. But this government has decided to take the bull by the horn, put it in the budget for the purpose of implementation and to give the Enugu and Maiduguri urban light rail project. This is a clear indication that Mr. President is not only responsible, but irresponsive to the yearnings and aspirations of the people that gave him the mandate to serve them. It was against this backdrop that these projects were included. So I commend Mr. President for being a listening
Thank you very much, Chief Whip, and the Deputy Chairman, the Vice Chairman of the Committee on Appropriations.
Yes.
I just yield the floor to you so you highlight the good have been done to the Northeast. Otherwise, you should have spoken because of the Vice Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So I will only yield the floor to one, to just an additional person, because this report is very, very clear and the time is against us. We still have 3 reports to go through, and of course maybe give a former chairman of Operation Committee, Senator Goji. Senator Nigi, I give you the floor, then of course to the former chairman of Operation Committee. One of the chairmen.
Mr. President, as a member of the Appropriation Committee, let me say, as from 2024, 2025, 2026, this committee is not debate, it's comments, and it is allowed under our rules.
Okay, just 1 minute.
It's of course the implementation of the Appropriation Act of 2024, 2025, 2026. Hopefully, we hope this time around, the executive will say a complete faith to a law passed by this National Assembly. That is just my comment.
Thank you. You see, we have, no, it all have said it, but I will give the chairman, former chairman, once you make your contribution, then we go to the Committee of Supply to get entitled pass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Mohammed Njimo Goje, representing the Central and Gombe State. Mr. President, I stand to congratulate the chairman and members of the Appropriation Committee for a job well done. And I also want to thank Mr. President for this all-inclusive budget, particularly pertaining to the capital component of the budget. As the team has said, we people in the Northeast have been crying that we seem to be neglected in terms of developmental projects in this country. But I think this time around, with the including of some key projects, particularly the railway and the highway projects, I think this time around we have to thank Mr. President. We thank you very much, and we hope with all the support we give Mr. President for all his requests, loans and other things, we hope these laudable projects proposed in 2026 will be fully implemented. With these few remarks, I want to urge my colleagues to support and endorse this proposal by the Chairman of the Appropriation Committee. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Leader, could you please move so that we resolve the Committee of Supply to consider report?
Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate at this time do now resolve to the Committee of Supply for further consideration of this report.
The Minority Leader.
I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that the Senate resolves into the Committee of Supply to further consider the report. I so second.
Sorry. Okay, those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we resolve to Committee of Supply to consider the report. SB 9A7.
I'm good for.
We start with the clauses. Those in favor that clause 1 should be part of this bill say aye. Those in favor that clause 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, all the parts of this stand parts of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedule Part A. Those in favor that Schedule Part A, share of the Federation of Revenues, 25 trillion. Those in favor that share of the net federation revenue, stand parts of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Schedule Part D, independent revenues, stand parts of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Schedule Part E, other dividends, stand parts of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Schedule Part F, aids and grants, stand parts of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Part G, special levies, stroke accounts, stand part of this bill as part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Schedule Part H, government-owned enterprises, net of operating surplus, as stated, stand part of this bill as part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Schedule Part 1, orders, stand part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Schedule Part J, statutory transfer, stand as part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Schedule K, debt service, stand part of this bill as part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that Part M, capital expenditure, stand part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the aggregate expenditure as stated, stand part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. All in favor that short title, clause 13, page 3, stand part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title on page 1, stand part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 13, stand part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate do now revert to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move.
The Minority Leader.
The President of the Senate, sitting as chair, I second the motion that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chair report progress.
Those in favor that this August Senate revert to plenary to report progress, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of Supply consider the report of the Committee on Appropriation on the Appropriation Bill 2026 and approve as follows. Schedule Part A, share of gross Federation revenues as recommended. Schedule B, deductions as recommended. Part C, federal government share of net federation revenues as recommended. Part D, independent revenues as recommended. Part E, other dividends accruable to the Federation as recommended. Part F, aids and grants as recommended. Schedule Part G, special levies and accounts as recommended. Part H, government-owned enterprises, net of operating surpluses as recommended. Others as recommended. Statutory transfers as expenditure as recommended. Capital expenditure as recommended. Aggregate expenditure as recommended. Clauses 13 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. The short title on clause 13 as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of Supply? Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the bill be now read for the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the bill be read the third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, motion moved and seconded that this bill be now read the third time. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 68,333,399,879,728,911,806 naira only is for 61,600,427,257,000 802,407 naira only is for recurrent debt expenditure, while the sum of 32,361,472,797 naira only is for contribution to the development fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2026. Third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation of Nigeria the total sum of 68,323,309,818,667 naira only, of which only is for statutory transfers, while 15,809,361,631,657 naira only is for debt servicing, while 15,427,252,407 naira only is for recurrent and non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 32,287,061 is for contribution to the development fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2026. Read the third time. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation the total sum of 68,323,309,818,667 naira only, of which 4,709,861,631,657 naira only is for debt servicing, while 15,427,257,802,407 naira only is for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while the sum of 32,287,472,797 naira only is for contribution to the development fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st day of December 2026. Bill read for the third time and passed. Let me thank distinguished Senator Olamileko, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, and all members of that committee, and thank all distinguished senators and all the committees that tirelessly worked on this 2026 appropriation bill, which has now passed third reading. And I want to say that, yes, indeed, that you've done a good job after months and months of not sleeping. The current president, as well as Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to have the necessary revenue to meet up the expenses expected from here for the benefit of our country. So congratulations to all distinguished senators. And also congratulations to members of the House of Representatives who have also passed similar version of what we have passed here today. So in other words, this was a joint effort of both chambers. So there will be no need for us to set up any conference committee. And congratulate Nigerians for this. And I do know that with the loans that they were passed here today, and with the increase in revenue as a result of the tax reforms, that this will be a realistic budget for the benefit of all Nigerians and to renew the hope of all Nigerians, and then bring this administration's first tenure to a very beautiful conclusion. Congratulations to all. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on National Planning and Economic Affairs on the 2026 budget of Musa Mustafa, to move the motion for the Senate to receive, consider, and approve the report.
Most distinguished Senator Mustafa.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Musa Mustafa, representing Yobe East. And I stand to move the motion that the Senate will receive and consider a report of the Committee on National Planning and Economic Affairs on the 2026 budget of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RAMFAC. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Agadaga.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Benson Sunday Agadaga is my name. I speak for the good people of Bayelsa East Senatorial District in Bayelsa State. I rise, Mr. President, to second the motion ably moved by distinguished Senator Mustafa for the presentation of the report.
The Assembly do receive and consider the report of the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission's Committee on National Planning and Economic Affairs. Those in support of the motion say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. You may proceed to lay the report. So proceed to your, just summarize and go into recommendations so we can move fast.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I now read the report of the Senate Committee on National Planning, Economic Affairs and for 2026 budget of Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission. Recall the National Economic Council approved 0.5 of non-revenue allocation of the Federation account. Premise to this, the Senate in 2025 approved the sum of 105,140,926,744.08. Only. In 2026, the sum of 183,738,926,744.08 712 is proposed for the Commission. I now move to the recommendation. The committee, having considered the proposal in 2026 budget of the Commission and convinced the merit of the provision, do recommended that this report and the attached detail be considered and approved. In conclusion, on behalf of the committee, I wish to thank the leadership of the Senate for all the support in processing of this budget. I also want to sincerely thank my colleagues in the Committee of National Planning and Economic Affairs. We hope that this report, when approved, will further strengthen and enable the Commission to perform its constitutional mandate, imposing all robust revenue mobilization to promote national growth and economic stability. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other comment? None. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate those in favor that the Senate do approve the 2026 budget of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the budget of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission as presented by the Senate Committee on 9,817,782 naira 73 kobo. Let me thank the Senior Senator Mustafa and all members of his committee and my colleagues for the speedy manner in which they carried out this exercise. And I do hope that the money will be used prudently by RAMFAC, and at the end, Nigerians will see value for the resources allocated to them. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the 5th and 7th orders, the 5th and the 2026 budget of the Nigerian Communications Commission and 2026 budget of the Universal Service Provision Fund Board. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Bilbis Aliyu Ikra to move the motion for the Senate to receive, consider, and approve the reports.
Distinguished Senator Bilbis Ikra.
Thank you, Mr. President, President of the Senate. My name is Ikra. 26 budget of the Nigerian Communication Commission and Universal Service Provision Funds. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Lang.
President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Dick by Senator Aliyu Bilbis of Zamfara Central, that the Senate do receive and consider the report for the Committee on Communications on the 2027 budget. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, motion moved and seconded. Those in support that this budget of the NCC be submitted to this August Assembly, say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Bilbis, you may proceed to lay the report. proceed to give us the summary of the report and the recommendations.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I wish to present this report to the Committee on Communication on 2026 budget of the Nigerian Communication Commissions and the USF. Mr. President, let me go straight to the findings. The management of the Nigerian Communication Commission, led by its Executive Vice Chairman, appeared before the committee on Thursday, 5th March 2026, to declare the Commission budget proposal for the year 2006. And after deliberations, the committee observed as follows. The Commission's revenue, 479 billion, consists of annual license fees, 1.4 billion annual operating levy, 250 billion spectrum fees, 192.8 billion numbering fees, and 13 billion over income, and 750 million. Mr. President, the Commission started 26.7 billion special intervention projects, 31 universal service provision fund, only 20 billion. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the Senate do receive, that's my recommendation, Mr. President, the Senate do approve the sum of 479 billion 588 million 260,000 naira Nigerian Communication Commission for the year 2006, and also to approve 20 billion for USCFs. Mr. President and my colleagues, the Senate do approve recommendation as committee approved. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Victor Ome.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Victor Ome. OFR, I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to support the motion moved by my brother, Senator Bilbis, for the Senate to receive the report on the 2026 budget of the Nigerian Communications Commission. I so second.
Will the Senate now approve the sum of 479 billion 508 million 260,000 naira 479,508,260,000 as the Nigerian Communications Commission budget for the year 2026. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the budget of the NCC in the sum of 479 billion 508 million 260,000 has been approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate further approve the budget of the sum of 20 billion for the Universal Service Provision Fund, USPF, budget for the year 2026? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the budget of 20 billion only for the Universal Service Provision Fund budget for year 2026 has been approved. Once again, I want to thank the distinguished Senator Bilbis, Ikra Aliu, and members of his committee for the expeditious and painstaking scrutiny that they undertook in taking care of this budget of the NCC and the Universal Service Provision Fund, USPF. And I thank all my distinguished colleagues, both members of this committee and those who are not members of the committee, for their contributions, and pray that they will utilize the monies prudently. Senator Bilbius, your committee must ensure proper oversight to be sure that these monies so budgeted and approved today are used for the benefit of all Nigerians in a very prudent manner. Oversight must be the watchword to ensure proper implementation of the 2026 budget for the NCC. Thank you. Leader of the Senate, you may wish to revisit the clearance for the NUPRC.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. It's been an interesting day, and I'm also grateful to our Secretariat. The seventh and last order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream on the confirmation of the nominations of the following persons as listed on the order paper for appointment as chairman and non-executive commissioners of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Engineer Jesse Paul Yaro, non-executive commissioner. Engineer Sunday Adebayo Babarola, non-executive commissioner. Mr. President, we wish to invite most distinguished Senator Jonah Williams Etten, chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the reports.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I rise to move a motion that the report of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream on the screening for confirmation of appointment of the chairman and non-executive commissioners of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission be read and approved in these hallowed chambers. Thank you.
Yes.
And the report is ready. I can leave.
Distinguished Senator Idiot, may wish to second the motion.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Idiot Oluwati Adebule. I represent the good people of Lagos West. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by Senator Williams.
Move and seconded. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Williams, please proceed to lay the report. Just summarize and go straight into your recommendations.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, introduction. The Senate, as it's sitting on Tuesday, 10th March 2026, considered the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces of the Federation, on the confirmation of appointment of the following nominees into the board of Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Resources Commission. The committee met and did a finding and concluded
and made a recommendation as follows. That the committee, having screened the nominees and satisfied with their qualification, expertise, and responses, hereby recommend that the Senate do confirm the nomination of Senator Magnus Abbey as the board non-executive chairman of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulation Commission. 2. Confirm the nomination of Engineer Jahid Paul Yaro as a non-executive commissioner of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. The committee wishes to sincerely express its appreciation to the leadership of the Senate and indeed the entire Senate for the opportunity given to serve in this capacity. Thank you.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate.
Senate resolved to a committee of the whole for further consideration of this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the Senate resolves into the committee of the whole to further consider the report. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do resolve in the committee of the whole for further consideration of this report. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Senator Magnus Abbey for appointment as non-executive chairman of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Senator Magnus Abbey is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Engineer Jeshi Paul Yaro for appointment as a non-executive commissioner of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Engineer Jeshi Paul Yaro as a non-executive commissioner of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission is hereby approved. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Engineer Sunday Adebayo Babalola for appointment as a non-executive commissioner of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment of Engineer Sunday Adebayo Babalola as a non-executive commissioner of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission is hereby approved. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, I second the motion that the Senate reverse to plenary to enable the chair report progress. I so second.
The Senate motion moved and seconded that we refer to plenary for the chair to report progress. Those in support say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. We refer to plenary for the chair to report progress. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream on the screening of Mr. President nominees for appointment as chairman and non-executive commissioners of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, and approved the nomination of Senator Magnus Abe as non-executive chairman, approved the appointment of Engineer Yeshi Paul Yaro as non-executive commissioner, approved the appointment of Engineer Sunday Adebayo as non-executive commissioner. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? For appointment as non-executive chairman of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory, the ayes have it. The nomination of Senator Magnus Abe is hereby confirmed as a non-executive chairman of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Engineer Yeshi Paul Yaro for appointment as non-executive commissioner of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission? Those in favor of the confirmation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Engineer Yeshi Paul Yaro is hereby confirmed as a non-executive commissioner of the board of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Engineer Sunday Adebayo Babalola for appointment as non-executive commissioner? And those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Engineer Sunday Adebayo Babalola is hereby. Let me thank distinguished Senator Hayden Williams, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream, and all the members for a very diligent job done in painstakingly going through the curriculum vitae and screening of these president's nominees, which have been approved and confirmed today by the Nigerian Senate. And also thank our colleagues for their contributions throughout the exercise, both at the committee level and in the plenary. And now use this opportunity to now congratulate the Senior Senator Magnus Abe, our colleague, and his colleagues who are now going to work as members of the board of the NUPRC. I hope that their contributions will uplift and increase production in the petroleum industry, particularly the daily crude oil that we so require for the benefit of this country. I thank you all for these contributions, and I wish them luck and success in their new endeavors. Leader of the Senate.
Well, Mr. President, just before you adjourn, what is left is just for me to remind the chair that the joint session of the leadership for our resumption, we should take account of the fact that other political parties will be holding their national conventions during the week of 14th to the 19th. And in view of that our resumption date be slated for Tuesday, 21st of April 2026. And if we are agreeing also with the House of Reps, you may wish to so adjourn, sir. Thank you.
Well, you may wish to move a motion that we adjourn briefly and come back to consider votes and proceedings of the day.
Yes, sir.
So that we can now properly adjourn to the date that you mentioned.
Okay,
So
thank you
move
so
your
much,
motion.
sir. In that wise, I rise, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, to move that the Senate do now adjourn
for 30 minutes.
For 30 minutes to enable the Secretariat prepare the votes and proceedings for today's proceedings, and then we'll come back to adopt. I so move.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the Senate adjourns briefly for about 30 minutes to return to consider the votes and proceedings of this day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do adjourn for about 30 minutes, return to the chambers to approve or consider and approve the votes and proceedings of the day. Those in support